Hey guys, and welcome back to what is episode 6 of this strange little channel that I don't really have a direction for yet. But before we get started with absolutely anything else, I wanted to take a minute to address the weather in Cape Breton. It is terrible. It is still forecasting snow in Cape Breton. Last night I went for a run and I ran in long pants, a coat, and a pair of mittens. If Cape Breton could go ahead and get its shit together, that would be wonderful. Alright, so filming today is going really great, as pretty apparent. So my game plan was to talk about what we would... My game plan, sorry, I'm incredibly distracted by the sheer quantity of pointers surrounding me. My game plan today was to talk about shoes. Not that I am an expert source on shoes by any stretch of the imagination, but people frequently send me messages asking me about shoes. And I think it's because thank you, Reginald. I think it's because I just own so many pairs of Brooks that at this point, people have just assumed if you own that many pairs of Brooks, you must be some kind of authority on shoes. Full disclaimer, I am not an authority on shoes whatsoever. I don't know anything about shoes really, other than I run exclusively in Brooks and I absolutely love them. Also, it's important to note that the more I film, the more comfortable my dogs are getting with me sitting on the floor in front of this table. Clearly. Alright, so we've relocated the pointers back to their usual place just off camera, and I'm going to talk about shoes, kind of. So here is my take on shoes. Shoes are one of those things that anytime someone is new to running, I tend to get a message that's like, hey, you have so many shoes, what do you recommend? Honestly, I can't recommend anything. What I recommend is that you do what I do, which is go to a local store, which I know right now we're in the middle of a pandemic, so it's a little bit harder, but I'll talk about that in a second. So under normal circumstances, if you're watching this and it happens to not be a pandemic where everything is shut down, or if you live in an area that has this available to you, I live in a really small town and we're just kind of super lucky that we do have a store that allows us to use this service. So what I did was when I went and got my orthotics made, I also had a gait analysis done by the literal most wonderful person. She is a saint of a woman. Unfortunately, the woman who owned the store has since moved away and someone else has taken it over. I haven't been back to the store since the switch has happened, but I would assume that the new person, I know that she's definitely still offering this service, and I'd assume that she's just as qualified and probably nice enough also. So if you live in Cape Breton, the place is Advanced Mobility. So basically, and I think primarily they offer like orthotics. I might be using the wrong word, but or like the wrong descriptor for what specifically they do. But basically I went there and I got a mold made of my feet and I got custom orthotics made because I was having funny issues where my knee was clicking, and also it was just like the back of my heels were being shredded, and also my feet hurt a lot. And it turns out it's because I have wonky feet and orthotics fixed it. If you can, I would suggest that everyone get orthotics because they are wonderful. And it never hurts to have custom footwear, or custom insoles, I guess. It probably never hurts to have custom footwear either, but also I'm not a millionaire, so I'll probably never know that. If you're a shoe company and you want to make me custom shoes, let a girl know. I use my insoles only when I run, so they do have a ton of mileage on them. They last forever. And I know that this is a true fact because I got my orthotics 5 years ago in August. In August it will have been 5 years. And yeah, I'm still using the same pair. So that was probably not my wisest choice, but honestly, like, like they still work just fine. They're kind of like showing their age a little bit, but other than that, they work just as fine as the day I got them. So all of that to say, go to a store that offers this specific service, and no, it's not custom orthotics, it is actually gait analysis. So when I went and got my feet molded for insoles, I also got a gait analysis, and during that time I was told that I needed a specific type of shoe, and she gave me examples, and I bought those shoes that fit within that example. So specifically she said try Brooks, and I did, and I've never looked back just because they work for me, and if it's not broke, why fix it? And also they have really super cool shoes, which appeals to me as a loser. Between the gait analysis plus the custom orthotics, my funny little sore knee, clicky knee, and painful feet have pretty much stopped. Before I switched to Brooks, I was just kind of running in whatever. I ran in Nike Frees for a really long time. For similar reasons, they're very pretty. They're also really cheap, and when I first started running, I wasn't sure how much I wanted to invest in it. So that was a thing that I did. And then one time I had a terrible experience with Nike Frees, so I switched to Pegasus because they were a little bit less like free running. Also, when I started running, free running was like a big thing, or like the barely there shoe, like the barefoot running was a huge thing then. It might still be now too, but it just doesn't work for me. So my suggestion is use what works for you, not necessarily what's on trend. So this is where Reginald stands now. So yeah, so I tried the Nike Free thing. It didn't really work for me. So I decided that I would move on to a more supportive shoe. And at that point, I got the Nike Pegasus, and I did run in that successfully for quite a while. And I probably actually still could run in a Nike Pegasus, but I've just totally switched to Brooks now. So yeah. You doing up here, Reg? You doing, buddy? Alright, so now that I've ditched Reginald for the 18th time, I was saying that I probably still could actually run in Nike Pegasus. I feel like they kind of fit the general guidelines I was given. So when I had my gait analysis done, I was told that I needed a neutral shoe with like a 10 millimeter drop, give or take. I'm not actually sure how important that was. She gave me examples of two kinds of shoes that I should run in, the Brooks Ghost and the Brooks Launch. For someone just starting out who's not sure if they're gonna stay forever and ever and ever in running, my suggestion is still invest in a good quality pair of run shoes, because if you just go out and buy like, oh, I don't know, like my friend did, which was a pair of Champion run shoes from Winners that I got, or not Winners, sorry, from Payless, that I think she got like buy one, get one free. She ran in them, but she definitely enjoyed life way more when she got a pair of Nikes. But when you're first starting out, don't buy the cheapest pair that you can find, but get a good quality pair and see if online you can find a pair for a really good deal. So right now I know that like a few people have messaged me recently asking me about shoes, and I almost universally recommend Brooks, just because they're the shoe that I know the best. So when I recommend Brooks, I always recommend that people just do a Google search. First of all, if Brooks could rectify the fact that Canada can't actually buy direct from their site, that would be great. That is my one beef with Brooks. It's incredibly hard to get your hands on a pair of Brooks, especially if you want a limited edition release. I literally have retailers that exist across Canada that ship me things because I can't just walk into a store or find a pair online. So Brooks, this is for you if you're watching, and I know you are. Please make things available in Canada from your website. That would make me so much happier. So yeah, I always recommend Brooks, and I always recommend just a neutral shoe to start out with. If you just are looking for a general run shoe, then I usually say like the Launch or the Ghost, or the Revel, because those are the 3 pairs of shoes that I run in. And then if you're looking for a trail shoe, I wish I could give my shoe recommendation to everybody, which is the Mazama, but I can't because it no longer exists. So I recommend usually the Cascadia or... So basically, the moral of the story is when you first start your shoe hunt for shoes, if you're a new runner, it can be really overwhelming because there are a lot of shoes on the market. You don't need like a $350 Nike shoe that's gonna make you 4% faster. I don't think anyone needs that kind of shoe, but if someone wants to mail it to me so I can test it out, I will happily take on that challenge. But also, don't get the cheapest shoe. If anybody has any questions about that, you can just let me know and I will do my best. I get a ton of questions quite frequently about this because I do know that people are super overwhelmed by it. And my general rule of thumb is go neutral. So when you're looking for your shoes, you want a neutral shoe. You want something that's basically like an everyday runner. You want something that is like mid-range. My suggestion is go online and search because you can get really good shoes for really cheap online, especially if you're not concerned about having like this season's colors, which it's a run shoe. You shouldn't be concerned about that, I say, as I have 10 pairs of Brooks that are limited edition. Do as I say, not as I do. So I know that buying shoes is probably the most overwhelming thing because they tend to be seen as like our biggest investment that we sort of need to run. So if anybody has any questions, just let me know. Again, I'm so far from a shoe expert, but I can kind of guide you in the right direction, if that makes sense. A lot of people have asked me for shoe recommendations lately. As far as I can tell, they've all been really happy with what I've recommended. If you haven't been happy, also let me know, because then I'll be like, actually, don't ever ask me for recommendations again, because apparently I'm shit at it. But yeah, finally both of my dogs have decided sleeping is a better option than annoying me. So they're both asleep directly behind the camera, and it's really cute. But yeah, so I think that's everything for today. So if you can, if you have the opportunity to, go to a local store and get a gait analysis. It is single-handedly probably one of the most helpful things that I have done in terms of running injury-free, because prior to my gait analysis, I was sidelined a lot with not anything major, but just kind of little funny injuries here and there that stopped the second I figured out what shoes worked for my feet. And I think if you are just starting out running and you feel like you're constantly injured or kind of like not feeling great, like, you know, you have sore knees or, you have sore knees or you have sore, I don't know what else gets sore, like your ankles and shit, then you're probably less inclined to keep up with running. So my suggestion is to find out what pair of shoes are gonna work best for you. If you just want something broad, I can definitely help you out a little bit, but I by no means have any type of advanced knowledge on this, so maybe go ask someone who does once the pandemic ends. If you feel like there's something that you want covered that I didn't really cover, or if you want specifics, because I know this was kind of just like a broad overview, then go ahead and just let me know. But other than that, that's everything that I've got for today. So thanks, guys. Bye.